everybody, but we're also on tape. We are deep down in the bowels of Eliza Music. Episode 126 of Kamloops last week. Christopher Folds, Magic Mike, back from Nam, and Bill. 26, 126?
126. When I grew up in Abbotsford, in the middle of Abbotsford, back in Abbey, I lived in a Bevan Garden, 32-unit horseshoe.
You used to deliver papers, you'd write the news and deliver it to them.
Horseshoe-shaped townhouse. We lived in 110.
Yep.
And right across from us, just to the left, was 126, and that's where the twins lived. David and Dennis Hart. They were the twins. They were identical twins, and they played baseball with us all the time. They played street hockey all the time. They're a few years younger, and you can only tell them apart because David, one time, they're always like out there running and cutting themselves and getting concussions and everything. And he had this scar right here.
The Hearts, they were?
Yeah, the Heart Foundation. That's right. Yeah, and their dad was Jim.
Jim the Anvil.
Jim the Anvil Hart. Yeah. Mom was Georgina, and she sadly died of a brain tumor, and then the family kind of went sideways after that. But David, he died in a truck crash, and
oh no.
His son Dennis still alive, and they had an older sister named Susan. But I just remember that yesterday, that 126.
Well, I think you've done this before with another. Do you remember all the different addresses of your neighbors?
Yes.
Because you've done this before.
Yeah.
And I remember in 46 it was
107 David Home, 118 the Shmoo, 119 the Shirazis from Iran.
I remember you've talked about the Shirazis.
I wrote a short story about them. They lived in 119.
I'm learning about Shiraz.
I told you that about your new girl there. I asked, are they Baha'i? Because in the Baha'i faith, all the kids were the Shahed, Sharam, Shamais. They're all Shah something because they like the Shah.
No, I'm talking about Shiraz. The Shiraz
Shirazi,
wine.
yeah, Shiraz wine.
That's where
they were called the Shirazis.
I don't know what you're going on about.
No, but their first names were all in honor of the Shah of Iran, who got turfed in 79 by Ayatollah, and that's why all the Baha'i had to...
Yeah, but her name actually, she has these prefixes and suffixes on her name, but they're Islamic, and they were just forced on her.
Yes.
And she would, rather, I guess, not have them.
But her family has a Shah in there.
No, it's...
Shah something.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, it is. One of them is a Shah something.
Oh, one of them has the...
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I think it might be one of them, the mum.
See, I know more about your girlfriend's family than you do, for Pete's sake.
You just remember every single little detail somehow. Oh, yeah, I'll be in trouble now for that. Yes. Okay, safe and sound, back from his big trip, and it sounds like you had a hell of a trip.
It was an amazing trip. It was our best NAM show, which stands for National Association of Music Merchants.
Oh, I thought he went to Vietnam.
It is the...
The war ended 30 years ago.
It's a show where dreams are made or crushed. And with our new distributor, which is PV Electronics, we were in their booth this year. We brought down a couple video walls to make their booth look really cool and interesting. And we were a good partner, and they were an excellent partner, and we had our best show ever.
Excellent.
Sold the most amount of guitars we've ever sold, got the most amount of dealers. These are all new dealers, new business. And PV basically just said, hey, this is our logistics and our network. Come and be part of what we're doing, and really are paving the way and helping us worldwide sell our guitars because they really believe in what we're doing and it helps them.
1 second, are we recording?
Yep.
So do you go on the floor and just start Magic Mike mingling and selling guitars, or how do you actually do it?
Yeah, so usually how it starts, new startups start in the basement. Which is Hall E, the Hall of Tears. And I started down there, and either you're made for trade shows like I think I was.
Oh, yeah.
Or your dreams are crushed. Mm-hmm. My first year in 2013, we had 8 guitars on display, and they were all out of our booth the entire time. And we had like Fender wanting to license our idea, all these different companies wanting to do things with us. And we ended up getting a distribution deal for Europe and North America from that show, and then we moved up to the next floor.
Are you going to now build a tower on your Siki headquarters?
Maybe. So we were on the main floor, and I've been there for 10 years. This year, PV, they get a booth upstairs. They have a whole room to themselves, which is a lot quieter because you don't have somebody playing drums or bagpipes across from you. And we were in their booth. So guys like... when I was a kid in the family music store, we had a poster cutout, it's upstairs, of Adrian Vandenberg. Blonde hair, long, holding a guitar, looking up somewhere.
Yeah.
And leather pants and this pink guitar. So I got a pink guitar in the 80s. Well, it was Raspberry Pearl. And they just re-released that guitar that they did in the 80s with Adrian Vandenberg. and he was hanging out in the booth.
Oh, cool.
Playing all my guitars, loving what we're doing, and we formed a friendship.
That's
so
cool.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he? I don't even know who that is.
White
Unfortunately.
Snake,
Okay.
one of the monsters of rock.
Okay.
You
David
know,
Coverdale, he was with him in that band, and
he's amazing, and so being in PV space obviously gave us a lot of validation, but brought in a ton of players to see what they're up to and see what we were doing. So yeah, it was a great trip.
And the pre-trip, you bolted up there and you went to Universal.
Yeah, so my co-pilot is my doppelganger, second generation music store owner down in Penticton, Matt Rands.
Oh.
And Matt, he's blonde, long hair, same body build. We'd lift the same stuff into trucks. It's crazy, and so many parallels in our lives.
Is he into furries as well, or?
Yes, yeah, for sure.
big time.
That's where we met. He says to me, he says, instead of getting a hotel in Medford or in whatever that other town is just above California,
Klamath Falls.
sure. He says, why don't we just go spell each other off? Because by the time we get to LA, it'll be 9 a.m. in the morning, and we can go to Universal Studios. So that's what we did. It was raining, which wasn't a big deal because it was still warm and nice, and there was no lineups, and we went on every ride until I couldn't go on any more rides because it turns out I don't love roller coasters as much as he does.
Oh yeah. Are you a roller coaster guy?
I went on my first roller coaster ever about 2007 in Disneyland, and I just became addicted to them.
I'm surprised you didn't go to the Playland growing up.
No.
Being from Abbey, you never scooted down and went to the log ride or did the coaster.
Sometimes we hitchhiked out there. We got stuck in Aldergrove.
Oh, yeah, at the Alder Grove Inn?
Yeah, Alder Inn.
Have you? There was one ride that we were on, and it was kind of like the Pirates of the Caribbean, which I know is Disneyland, but it was kind of like their version of it. And you just float in, and you do all this kind of nice stuff. And there was me, Matt, and a family. And I had to apologize to the family afterwards because you get up to this little video, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, like a Tesla taking off, or you know what, like one of those new electric Volkswagens.
Oh, yes.
It just goes straight back, and I remember going, like, fudge. And I wasn't expecting it, and they took a picture of us at that moment, and I had to apologize. Said that's not a word that we use very often.
That's great.
Oh, okay. Glad you had a good trip. And we have a good show today. We have a great show today. We have two city councillors coming on. We have Mike O'Reilly and Katie Neustaeter. Mike's the chair of the Build Kamloops Select Committee. Yep. This is the Build Kamloops show. Yep. We're going to talk about, learn from them what we can about the potential future of the facility situation in our city.
Awesome.
Where are we at? Do you know where we are at? Like what stage we're at with this?
No, not really. I think what we're at is they're talking about design, a new design, and what do they call it? A design of a proposed performing arts center. We had one in 2015, a referendum that was defeated by the voters. Had a second referendum 2020 that was defeated by the pandemic. So now they want to go to another referendum. I don't know how, we'll find out how, referendum or just approve it.
Yeah.
They want to build another PAC as part of a multi-facility plan, multi-year plan called Build Kamloops, because nothing's been built in this city since, I think, the turn of the century, 2000 or so.
Yeah.
So we're growing. We're the third fastest growing city in Canada.
Going to be 120,000 by 2035.
Yeah, maybe more. Maybe more, because all those projections, we've surpassed all of them in the last 10 years. So we need more ice rinks. We need a better curling rink. We need a new RCMP detachment. They say we might need a new city hall. It's cramped. I don't know. But the number one priority on the list, based on all the meetings with the public, is a performing arts center, and that's what the two councillors are here to talk about. We'll ask them, where are we at? What's the cost? Is now 120, but how much are you going to be asking to borrow if you do it? Because the total cost does not necessarily equal what the taxpayers have to pay. They have grants, they have reserves. So we'll find out more from them.
I saw the little snazzy little Joy Factory video they put together. They just put it on their website. I think recently, because Katie just put it on her Instagram account, and they hit on all those points. And if we're already behind and unable to handle, we're over capacity with swimming lessons. We don't have enough ice sheets. We don't have, go down the list. What's that going to be like in 20 years if we don't do anything now?
And then every day you wait, it gets more expensive.
Yeah,
more expensive.
It's already like almost doubled in cost.
Had the electorate approved in 2015 the PAC then at the corner of 4th and Seymour, it would be up and running right now. It might have been recouping its cost. and we could have been talking about other things like a new pool, extra pool, and extra ice rink, and that thing would have been built, and the debt would have been, well, probably 7 years into paying it off. So
we actually lost a lot of space, conference and event space, since the last 20 years too.
Yeah,
so
that's
we're
right.
growing at a crazy rate, and we're losing space.
Yeah. Not just the pack. We need convention space too.
Absolutely,
Right?
yeah.
Well, they list off the Kamloops Centre of the Arts, 5 facilities to explore: aquatic center, multi-sheet ice complex, indoor soccer dome, and a curling facility, plus a senior center / community space in conjunction with one of those.
Yeah.
We need all those things. So, are we going to be able to, like, what are we voting on now? Like, how many of these can we do?
Well, that's what the question is. And do you go to referendum, or this council just approve it and wait for a counter petition, which would require people? That's what I think they should do, because then you get 2 shots at it, not 1. But we could talk about that.
And then parking. Parking's a major deal too.
Yeah. Well, the first one in 2015 included a 370 stall parkade underneath, and that was a $70 million thing. The last referendum, which we never got to because of the pandemic, was a $90 million with no parkade. So that's a huge thing. A parkade is extremely expensive.
The city figured it out, because when I was going to build and do some stuff downtown, they've actually created virtual parking spaces that cost $20,000 each. So they've got virtual parking spaces.
Virtual spots for 20 grand. Oh, that reminds me though of the weekend, because we joined you.
You did?
We joined you. What a weekend we had. We wanted to save this to tell the people, but you want to lead the way
In
here?
Anaheim, yeah.
Yeah, well, first off, it was difficult to get across the border together. It was fine for Chris, but Marty, you had that baggage that you were trying to deal with. But
But you know how we got past that though? The
yeah,
border
we
guards?
smuggled you in a road case in the back.
Yes, but also you guys brought about 78 McRibs and you gave it to the border guard. You said, look, here.
It's better than cash. McRibs, better than cash. Yeah.
Did you know the McRib's back?
It's back, yes, yeah, and it's exciting because it's only for a certain period of time every year, and I look forward to it every year.
Do you, if you could bring back either the Arch Deluxe or the Big Extra, which would you bring back?
Oh, definitely, for sure, 100%, the McMike.
You're never going to get over the McMike.
No.
I want the McLean back. That was the best.
But we were going through the border, and he was just confused again, wasn't he?
You know what he was buffaloed by? Because we were in a beautiful Volkswagen SUVW, and he couldn't understand, again, the low rates.
Well, we crossed and it was like 4.9%, but that's also the parallel, 49th parallel. So I couldn't quite figure out whether or not we were in Kamloops getting the good deal or crossing the border, and I just got really
It was
flummoxed.
dizzying. And
Really
then he
flummoxed.
also, to add insult to injury, we told him that, you can go to Volkswagen out there, Valley View Drive on the frontage, and you don't necessarily have to get a Volkswagen. They have other brands of vehicles.
Yeah, I couldn't
out there.
understand that either. That just
He still doesn't get
No,
it.
I don't get it.
No, he's flummoxed.
I'm flummoxed.
And did you know there's a parts and service department out there? The technicians are factory trained.
Very good. Yeah, if you even have an old Volkswagen, you can get parts for that as well.
Do they make they don't make the Beetle anymore, do they?
Somewhere in the world, I
Well, I
think
thought in
they're
Mexico
still
they
making
did until a
Beetles
few years
somewhere.
ago, yeah.
How big is your mattress at home?
Queen.
Queen? You missed out. You missed out because
Did you get your king in?
the king is in. The king is in, but the red tag sale is on right now. And we actually strapped one of these onto our Volkswagen and took it across the border. So that's another reason why they were a little bit confused at the border. And there's McRib
Are you
sauce
guys
all
planning
over.
on staying? No.
No, yeah. And but yeah, the red tag sale's on right now. You've missed your opportunity. $7.99 for a Sealy Maple Leaf Euro Top Queen mattress. No interest, no payments for 12
Well,
months.
maybe we'll upgrade.
There you go.
Yes.
I was always thinking 2 king-size beds put together.
Need a wrestling ring.
I saw a house for sale like that, and I was like, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I could have a big Royal Rumble on there.
Did it fit in your room? How much room do you got? You got a king in your room, right? In your condo. So how much room do you got left over?
Yeah, not too much.
Is it against the wall?
No. It was a bit of a hassle too. Like
Bedside tables are so overrated.
yeah, well, actually, we have to get new bedside tables, but no, there's enough room in there.
Is there?
My carpet was cleaned for the first time in about 10 years too. My girlfriend we went and got the rug doctor.
Oh, the wet thing.
We went and rented one from Save On,
Yeah.
like $80 or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, great weekend we had. Let's bring in now 2 Kamloops City Councillors, Mike O'Reilly and Katie Neustaeter. It's Above the Folds. It's brought to you by McDonald's.
Order, please.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm always good.
Always good. I got a question for you.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Is the
What is it?
is the McRib back?
Yes, of course.
No way.
Try it.
Oh my goodness.
But it's we're serving that 11 o'clock.
Oh, I can't get 78 McRibs right
Oh.
now?
You come back.
Oh, I'll come back at 11 and get 78
Yeah.
McRibs. Okay. Do you like the McRib?
Yeah, you should try that.
Okay. What's your favorite part about it?
The sauce.
The sauce. Oh my goodness. So good.
The
So
barbecue
good.
sauce.
Okay, I'd like to make an announcement, please. I would like to order 2 medium coffee, both of them with 2 cream, and one of them decaf.
Okay. Would you like napkin for this?
No, thank you.
Okay. Anything else for you?
Just want to say you have good energy this morning. Great energy.
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, put it back over. Yeah, this way, because if Mike moves toward Katie, then you're good. Okay.
It's just so awkward.
It's a little weird. Can you sit him down? No?
From this point forward, you can't talk unless you actually mime his movements while you're talking.
cover the guest. Let's just cover the
I don't want you covered either. Can he sit? Can he go like in the Volkswagen?
That way
Could
more.
we?
This is fine, right?
Just move a little toward Mike.
No, we didn't go.
No,
which way do
you,
want me to go?
you,
No, the other
Marty,
way. No,
Marty,
no,
you.
Which
Not
Mike?
me.
Like
Yeah.
microphone, Mike the guy.
Mike.
Who dat?
Mike O'Reilly, Katie Neustaeter.
Hey,
Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
happy to be here.
Let's talk to you first. How you feeling?
I'm here. I'm here for sure.
New edition.
Yeah, just still sort of in the trenches of baby being 11 days old, so not a lot of sleep at night. But we're finding our way as a new family of 4.
Can you give us some details on the new edition? Boy, girl.
Yeah, baby girl. Yeah, it's, 6 pounds, so just a little thing, and big brother's extremely happy to have a sister.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
What do you remember about that time of life?
Oh, I remember, like, my kids are 25 and 22, but I remember that those days. It's fantastic. It's like the golden years up until they're 6, and then.
Yeah.
But
That's when you write 'em off,
It's the brain fog. It's our boy had colic for like 18 months, so
Ooh,
it was
rough.
like you come home, hand the baby over, and then the mom eats and then hands the baby back, and you're up all night. I remember every single late night episode of Letterman because you're walking the baby.
the colic,
Survival.
The colic would be an
But
absolute.
beyond the colic, it's just so busy. Like one kid is one kid, but having 2 kids is like having 10 kids.
Well, speaking of brain fog, this is the first real thing I've done for council since. So we'll see how it goes today. And see what I have to say. I'll watch the tape back to see what I said.
That's why we're doing the buddy system.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Katie, let's start with you.
Sure.
Build Kamloops. What stage are we at right now?
Well, I feel like we're actually getting the wheels on the ground now. There are things happening. It was a concept idea for a long time. It was what's going to be in the plan, what will that look like, let's build a committee. But we're past scratch now and actually looking at real things happening. So that's incredibly exciting for us to be moving forward.
Mike, anything to add there?
Yeah, I think, for the working groups that we had going, people saying, well, can we get going? Can we get going? It was setting that foundation and, the stuff that seems a little bit boring, maybe the terms of reference and how the groups are going to work, but they're so important. And now those are in place and now the groups are going to be off to the races, getting more and more direction from the actual committee itself.
Well, and we recognize we have to do it right. This is significant. This will change the future of Kamloops. We've got to do it right. So laying that foundation was incredibly important.
So why don't we just explain, if someone's tuning in and never heard of what Build Kamloops is, how about you explain it in layman's terms?
Go ahead, Chair, you start.
Yeah, sounds good. So Build Kamloops, we were put in place to look at implementing items from the recreational master plan. The recreational master plan wasn't something that this council just came up with or the previous council came up with. This was done with consultation just over 2 years with thousands of people from the community, 55 different user groups to find out what we actually needed for recreational facilities in Kamloops. So fast forward now, it's in this council's strategic plan is to essentially build facilities. And so we put forward a committee, a Build Kamloops committee, to look at what facilities are going to be built. And we have now working groups that will feed up. And so every councillor is involved, whether it's on a working group or on the committee itself. Committee gives direction to the working group, and working group feeds back up. The priorities that we gave to the working group looking at facilities and in order were the Performing Arts Centre, sheets of ice, new curling facility, senior centre, and lastly but certainly not least is a pool, and specifically for a recreational pool or leisure water on the North Shore.
On the North Shore, right. Indoor.
Well, and I'll add to that, behind all of that is that Kamloops needs a vision. We are growing. We are the third fastest growing city in the country, and we can't let that growth happen by accident or it will overrun us. We needed a vision for the future of Kamloops to meet the needs of the people and to grow intentionally in the way that we want to. So bringing as many minds to the table as possible to work that through and build a long-term vision is where we needed to start. And as a new councillor, I think, and this was probably naive of me, but I thought surely there's something in the background. There's some kind of plan. We know we'll need more pools. We know we need more ice. And there wasn't. So it truly is starting from scratch and saying, let's look long-term, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. What facilities will we need to serve our population? Because this isn't about us and now. This is about the future. The fact that, we're talking about kids. Mine are 16, 17, and 19. I want them to be able to live in Kamloops and grow their families in Kamloops if that's what they choose to do. But we have to make sure that it's a Kamloops that families will stay in, that doctors will come to, all of those things. We need a vision, and this is it.
You were on your high horse a little bit last week, demanding numbers. $7 million. What is this $7 million?
Well, and it wasn't just me. I was echoing the masses, the people who are asking me. Ask this question. Okay, so we had a referendum in 15 that died. We were going to have a referendum in 20. The pandemic took it. But that referendum, it had a design. It had the schematic. I think the station architects they did it. So why? The question I was asked, and I'm asking is, if we already had a design, why not just copy that design?
Yeah, so what we have, and we have the design still, what we have is Class D cost estimates. We want to take it to a Class A, and what that will allow us to do is start going after the grants. And everybody talks about, oh, well, we want grants, and we got, a shovel-ready project. We need to have a shovel-ready project. Right. We aren't there yet. We have a concept that Ron Fawcett has spent a lot of money and time. And when I talk about time, we're talking about 1.5 to 2 years worth of time he's put into this. But it isn't just Ron's vision. It's the cultural community that helped Ron build this. He's just the piece that's putting the money behind it to do this. But again, we want a shovel-ready project so we can leverage that going into a provincial and a federal election when grants are going to be given out. And if you don't have shovel-ready project, you're not going to get the grant money.
So what is the $7 million? How is it spent? Break it down for us here, because a lot of people are saying $7 million just to design it. Never mind. Seems to the layman like a lot of money, considering a lot has already been done few years ago.
Yeah, again, if we look for people that are in development, we go from a Class D, which are rough ideas, to a Class A. And so that gets down to actual construction level design drawings. And looking at the site specifically, and for people that are somewhat familiar with the area, but there is significant infrastructure issues that have to be dealt with from third parties. And I believe Councillor Neustaeter has been starting to work on that, specifically with TELUS and Hydro, that have main lines that run directly down the alley. And we need to be able to start those conversations and have them be a part of that. And for any Crown Corporation, as an example, it's not just going to happen overnight. That's a 1.5 to 2 year process in itself.
So we're still talking Fourth and Seymour.
Seymour, St. Paul.
Yeah,
okay,
for
good,
sure.
good. Yeah.
And to go back to your original question, that 2015 design, full disclosure, and I've talked about this before, I voted against that. I did not think that was the right design. I thought we could do better. I thought we could do more. I thought it was missing critical pieces. I didn't realize that it would take us until 2023 to bring it back forward and be able to implement something, but it wasn't enough. We want the best for Kamloops. I'm tired of seeing it happen everywhere else. We deserve better.
The 15 design that was a proposal that was defeated had a 300 plus parkade and component. The 20 design didn't have a parkade component. Are we even at that point where we know if this one's going to have parking or not?
I mean, that's something that,
that
the committee's been tasking out to staff to look at. Specifically, as when we look at facilities that are in direct area of where the Performing Arts Centre potentially could go, that the parking is not being used. So are there areas that we can rent the parking back rather than having to build and put capital costs in for evening events?
Okay,
exactly. And so rather than a 24-hour parking permit, you get a half a day. It ends at 5 and then the events come in. Things things like that.
And the timing is fantastic because we just saw our major parking study and just looked at it. No, we have underutilized parking in the city. Part of that is signage. People don't know that it's there. Also, it's the timing of events and how that works. But parking exists, and there will also be parking as an accommodation piece with the facility as well.
Okay.
All these things we want. Everybody would like to have this aquatic center, ice complex, indoor soccer dome. How many can we have? How do we figure out if we can have them, and where do they go? Like these are the questions that pop into my mind.
Yeah, and I'd say that's exactly what we're doing. And I don't think it's things we want to have. I think it's things we need to have. A city of our size, a city of our population, it's a generational city. These aren't wants, these are needs. And that is exactly what Build Kamloops is doing, exploring those things. So right now, we are looking at land identification. Where can these things go? Where can we utilize facilities that we already have? Are any of them convertible? Where can we fold projects into each other? Can we meet housing needs as we build these things? All of those questions are exactly what's coming together in Build Kamloops. And again, from the bottom up. But looking at it strategically, finding where partnerships may exist, finding what would be appealing when we look at grants and funding. So that's exactly what the project is.
And really, this isn't just a one-off thing. This is a very large-scale vision, as that word's being used. It's not just one project, and we spend a lot of time talking about the Performing Arts Centre right now. That's at the top of the list. But what we know as a municipality, like off the top of my head, do you guys know when the last time we built new water or a new sheet of ice in Kamloops?
2000 about at the Mac Island, right? With the
I always push back on that. I go back to about 92, 91, when Riverside Coliseum was built and the Canada Games pool was built. And why I push back on that is, we built one, but we have had no net addition of ice due to the ice box on Tacoma to Sweat-McLean closing.
Yeah, so it was really a swamp.
So over 30 years, we have not had one new sheet of ice built, and we've had a population increase of 25,000. So we need to look at what this vision is over the next 10 years, what we need, and how it'll play out and what sequence that will be done.
So this is a faceted, multi-project vision for going forward. These things are going to come up individually as we go forward. That's the plan, not all at once. And the first one on the list is the PAC. And they want the PAC. There's a lot of people who are opposed to the PAC, or we saw that in 15, it got defeated. Now, if you go online, I know there could be a lot of small people being loud, but there's a lot of people who say, we can't afford it, we don't want this. How do you go forward? Do you go to referendum and risk it dying right there, or do you just go to a counter petition thing where you just approve it and wait for people to come forward? What's the plan, or what's the idea?
Well, I think for that, I think we got to look at a couple things. One, the plan is different for the Performing Arts Centre that was in 2015. It lost by 3%. We have grown substantially, about 15,000 people since that time. That we truly believe that they also deserve a voice in this. But I just want to back up a little bit. And you said each project individually. We haven't identified that it will be a project by project referendum.
That's the question. Is it going to be like that?
We don't know. Okay. It could be one, it could be two, it could be four. Some things will be based on the order in the recreational master plan, while other things may be more opportunistic.
But it will be decided at one time how many of those things we're gonna do, and the
correct. But that may be one or two facilities, or three, or
and that depends on land identification and all of those other pieces as well. The PAC, of course, is the furthest along already. We have land identified. We have a significant investment already, and the sports community is also behind the PAC being that first development. They recognize this is a major gaping hole that exists in our community. There's no reason a population our size shouldn't be able to support it.
Yeah, because the mayor had many ideas on our show last week, if you saw it, but he was throwing around acreage to Kamloops, Tournament Capital Ranch, and one big monster facility idea.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, we've invited and asked the mayor to sit on the Build Kamloops committee itself and the working groups, which he declined. We asked him throughout the meetings, which that's certainly his prerogative. But I saw the show last week, and for any elected official to suggest they don't know how the Performing Arts Centre is at the top is a little disingenuous, in the sense that we had unanimously passed our strategic plan. It's at the top of one of the 5 pillars, is building recreational, cultural, and arts facilities, and so again, this is a part of it, and we invite him, and all of council is involved in this, and again, it was a unanimous decision to put in that strategic plan.
So when might, for people out there watching who want more information, when might we actually get to the point where we go to referendum or council approves it and we start working on this thing? Is there like a timeline?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, I feel like if we put out a timeline that we may be held to that.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think
you mentioned there's an election in a few
yeah,
months from now,
so that's
right?
what we have to be aware of, is
Yeah.
that we know we have a provincial election coming up. We don't want it to be muddled in with provincial issues and trying to fight for messaging and getting people out. So whether that's something that comes through this summer or something after, about this time next year, we don't know, and we haven't decided, and that's certainly a committee decision. But Councillor Neustaeter, I'll
no,
leave
and
to
I'll
you.
just say again, like, this is a totally transparent process for us. There are no secret plans in the background. You're watching it unfold. We're doing this together as a community. We're doing this together as a council, as a Build Kamloops committee. So everyone's along on the journey with us, and there is no, magic number, magic
will there
date
be a
at this point.
referendum
We're
or
putting it together.
a counter petition?
That depends on how the numbers play out, right? Because that can be determined by the dollar and the threshold. So again, the community will know when we know. That's part of the process of figuring it out.
If you were going to do it yourself and you had carte blanche and you could make all the decisions, how would you how would you like to see it all rolled out?
Personally, or as a councillor?
Personally.
Personally, well, I mean, it's different when you're a councillor. You have to work through trade agreements.
Yeah.
Right? Personally, if you were to just build it, you can build it, and we don't operate that way, and we need to have support of the public. But as a councillor, I think we look at the way that recreational master plan and how they're prioritized. And as we've spoken here today, I mean, I would like to see our city-owned assets, preferably on city land, but certainly exploring all areas. But we also can't be blind to the fact that our direct surrounding electoral areas use our facilities and are not contributing to
You
the,
made this
to
point
the
many
capital
times.
cost.
It's a good point you're making too.
And so when I look at the areas of Sun Rivers, Tobiano as an example, the Knutsford area, they're not contributing to the capital costs. And so certainly that's something that we need to explore. It's been done in other communities. Most recently in Vernon, there was a referendum done on their municipal ballot in 18. The electoral areas said, you know what, we don't want to be a part of it this time. They previously had been, and it passed. And their user fees were twice the amount of the people of Vernon. The electoral area directors have now come forward and said, we actually want to be a part of the capital cost because it's cheaper for us to do it that way than for residents.
Well, Langley did the same thing when I lived in Abbotsford. Langley had a nice wave pool and better recreation, and people on the border from Abbotsford go in there, but they paid more because they didn't live there, and made sense to us because they didn't finance it.
It's a logical approach, and that all goes back to, that question that you asked about what order would you do it in. It depends on what makes sense. We're going to make the most fiscally responsible decisions as we go, the ones with the greatest partnership opportunity, the lands that become available and fit the facility. It will all play out as it goes. Nothing is predetermined as far as order. It has to work.
What do you say to people who are facing really the largest tax hike this century again this year? Last year was the largest. This year is going to be even larger. And people who are like scrambling. I see people online needing bottles donated because they can't afford rent. I mean, there's a lot of people hurting. A lot of people are just stretched to the limit, and their argument is, what do you say to this argument? We can't afford more taxes. We can't afford this right now because we can't afford right now. We can't afford to pay more taxes. Explain how this you might convince them that this is a good thing to do and it won't break their bank.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been a budget year that I've been a part of or any referendum going forward that people say we can't afford it, now's not the right time. And certainly we have to balance that as a council, but I can push back and say, I don't know of one recreational facility that has been built in Kamloops that has been a bad idea and has not contributed to the social fabric of our community.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they should remember, Riverside Coliseum was defeated once or twice before it got approved.
Exactly.
Riverside Park is there because of referendum too. If that was defeated, that would be probably warehousing or something.
MacArthur Island.
MacArthur Island. So that's what people should remember online. I was
Pretty
debating someone
consistent.
online about that.
And the other
Many
piece is
people,
also
sure.
the revenue side. Sometimes we forget to talk about the revenue side at the municipal level. But the fact is, we are leaving dollars on the table every single day. Every day that we send concerts elsewhere, every day that we are not doing user pay, every day that people want to give their money for swimming lessons, we're leaving the revenue side on the table. So yes, in the short term, and I have all the compassion in the world, I work in the interest of people who find themselves in that position every single day. There's a reason we are challenging the budget, bringing it back, see if we can drive down that bottom line. We can, and we will. Finding cost savings and efficiencies, and yet we have to think about the future of Kamloops. Do I wish that some of these projects had been started 25 years ago, I do. And 25 years from now, I don't want people to say, we watched Kamloops die under the watch of this council, who told us, the people elected us, all 9 of us said, we believe we need to build. We believe that we need a performing arts center. We believe kids should not be bused out of Kamloops to smaller communities for ice time. All of these things. We have to build for the future. We will do it as cost effectively as possible, but we have to start now.
Does the retirement of the TCC debt, I think it's coming up, or does that impact positively? Can you explain that?
100%, and that's what the finance working group's looking at. But really, we look at the ebbs and flows of our debt that we're paying off, and it's gone up, and it's consistently been coming down to a very low level, to the point that we can now start taking on more debt with very low tax increases. But again, that's depending on how much we're going to, or what facilities we may do on a first referendum. But I just want to go back a little bit. You were talking about the money that's being asked, the $7 million at the next council meeting, and the integrated project delivery team. And people don't really know what that is, other than it sounds like a pretty fancy name.
And you hate those fancy names.
Wow, that's all
So I just want to paint a picture that most people in Kamloops will know. The renovation of the Canada Games pool, that was done through the IPD team. That came in under budget and ahead of schedule because the work was done up front. It ends up costing a little more on the front end, but it saves money on the back end, and it has that consistency and predictability that our taxpayers want and frankly demand, financially and timelines when things are done. And so that's a big part of getting that across the line on Tuesday.
And we've also mandated that 10% is going to be fundraising. A minimum of 10% will be fundraised as well. So, there's investment and there's skin in the game from a lot of people.
And the Fawcett family still has $10 million pledged to it, right?
They have their building that they've donated forward, and then the plans that they put forward.
And then the land and the
right,
plans
and
as well.
altogether it adds up to a pretty good investment.
And
one last thing, I just wanted just so people, like when they see these big numbers, in 15 it was a $70 million proposal, but the referendum was to ask for permission to borrow up to $45 million. In 2020, it was a $90 million proposal, but the referendum was asking for permission to borrow up to $49 million. So people should. So when this one is the ballpark is 120, you're not necessarily asking people to. It's going to be less than that you're asking to go to the taxpayers for, correct?
100%, and that's why we want to get these drawings up to construction level drawings so we can get more grant money. And I mean, if we look at 15, show me a house price in 2015 and let's compare it to today.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just the way things have gone with inflation, and the longer we wait, I can tell you, the higher it's going to get.
It already has. Since in 8 years, it's like almost doubled.
In 1 year, you can see a significant increase. It's not going to get cheaper than it is today. To go back to your question about debt and borrowing, I'd encourage you to go back to the last Build Kamloops committee meeting too. Ask that same question of Dave Hallen, and he had a fantastic answer. So,
a friend of the show.
That's also
well, maybe not, because you keep screwing his name up. So
Callahan's a good guy.
Speaking of
whoever he is.
you have a question, you must.
We're actually forming a committee, Dave and I, and Canadian Home Builders Association, and we're going to try to challenge some of those procurement services that we're finding challenging to navigate through. But I had a question for you guys. So in December, obviously we have an audiovisual company. December I traveled to Edmonton to do a big show there, and they had taken greenhouses and made them into an amazing facility. Yeah. Now, I think these greenhouses still worked. They still had the water lines and everything all in them. They were glass. It was just a cement floor. And when we rolled up, they were doing a huge trade show. And in the greenhouse next door to it, we did a big party. We live in an extreme environment. Over the wintertime, we don't go outside to do events. So we really rely on our events. And back to what you'd mentioned, Mike, is that we've actually had a decrease in event space when we lost the KXA grounds.
Yeah.
That was 2 huge events that we were working in almost every weekend. When that shut down, there was nothing that came in to replace it. And here we are now, how many years down the road with way less. I would love to see something simple. Doesn't have to be expensive, simple. Just a brick building, roof with power and lights and heat that we could go and do some of these box events that we do, so we can bring in those world-class conventions that I'm doing in other communities that should be here in Kamloops.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if we go back to our very first Build Kamloops committee when we were starting to give direction, one of the things that we said was that the concept working group, when they look at these facilities, we want them to explore all opportunities and not just a standalone facility. Gone are the days are just a one-off. Hey, let's build a curling center.
Yeah.
That's not. What else can be a part of that? If there's an opportunity to build housing, is there an opportunity for convention space? Those types of things are going to be looked at for all of the facilities that'll be put forward.
Multi-purpose.
Multi-purpose. There's no single-use buildings really anymore.
Well, and Chris, going back to you saying, there are a lot of people who are against the Performing Arts Centre. There are a lot of people who are for it, and they're not always out on Facebook dropping comments or building up.
Well, it's like a public hearing, right? People come out. They don't come out when they're
exactly.
in favor of
But the
something.
people who are in favor of it are asking the same thing that Mike is saying, which is, if there, why not here? Why can't Kamloops have these things? Why do we deny ourselves these things? Imagine the loss we'd have if the Salmon Centre had never been built, if we couldn't have a WHL team, if we didn't have these events here, if we didn't have that title of Tournament Capital Centre. We will not hang on to it if we don't start building right now. And it is one of our primary revenue incomes. It supports tourism, all of these other pieces. It has to happen now.
If this goes to a referendum and fails, I'm done. I'm leaving.
Which is so funny. I saw a comment yesterday on Facebook where somebody said, if they build the pack, I'm leaving Kamloops. So I guess either way, somebody's leaving.
I won't actually leave the capital. I love the capital, but I don't understand why we don't like taking a little risk every once in a while and doing what we need to do.
We'll mark you down in the yes column.
Well, once all the
I want to see the numbers of it too.
Then they'll vote for it.
Oh no, now we're talking potholes.
Well, actually, squash facility, okay?
Racquetball, that's what we need.
Squash and racquetball.
Absolutely.
Put it on the list.
Music.
Music.
Okay, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think this is fantastic, and really, I think the conversation around the money for the Performing Arts Centre that came up at the last committee meeting, that's the start of a significant amount of information that will start coming out between now and summer. The working groups are really active in getting things up and public, and we're looking forward to bringing that to everyone when we get it.
And when we talk dollars and cents, don't forget that the province gave us a significant grant for infrastructure. We set aside $1 million to get Build Kamloops going. There's $5 million still sitting in addition to the two other projects that are kind of companion pieces to Build Kamloops, but we already have dollars identified. There are people coming to the table. The fundraising is going to be great, and I hope people do amplify their voices in support, because a lot of people believe it's time to build Kamloops.
And we could have an extra 5 if we got rid of that stupid overpass.
There he goes.
That's another show.
Well, I was going to say we can talk about that if you want, but we're probably out of time.
Charge for the gondola.
Yeah. Mitch goes first.
What do you think about gondolas?
Great idea.
Yeah, you got to have the numbers to support them, right? We're seeing one that's coming for SFU, I believe, right now.
Yeah.
They have the volume of people to do it, and hopefully if Build Kamloops goes through, we'll have the people come to the community, and we can support those.
Interesting and it's not.
The operational cost would be minimal compared to crossing over the city.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. You did good. You did really well.
And no
You're
brain
still
fog. No brain fog.
Sorry, you're Chris. And yeah, okay, thank you.
My darling, a little tighter, please. A little tighter. A little closer, please. Thank you. Gord's Appliance Mattress Center, okay? For 2 years, they've supported the KLW. And now, yours truly, co-host Marty Hastings, I support Gord's, the best cookies in town. They service what they sell. The only one, Appliance and Mattress Center on the North Shore. Tronquito Road, Steve Rogers, Gord Stevens, Reese Wilson, KLW and Gord's, we're in cahoots. A king-size Sealy. We're going to talk some sports now. Logan Stankoven, you love numbers.
Yep.
50 and 39. Oh.
Do you want to start again?
No.
No, I just we were talking sports, so I had to get
you were done with it. 50 and 39.
50, that's cool. You mentioned he has 50 points, 39 games, which is, of course, a very famous dual number. That's when Wayne Gretzky broke the record. He scored 50 goals in 39 games, beating the previous 50 and 50 by Rocket Richard. So that's kind of cool.
I do recall that.
Yeah.
This is different. This is 50 points in 39
Still
games.
pretty good for a first-year player playing in the second best professional league in the world. That's fantastic.
American Hockey League Texas Stars, owned by
Galari.
Tom Galari.
They play in Austin, don't they?
Oh boy.
Allen, Texas? Austin,
Cedar.
Texas? I think it's near Austin.
Cedar Park.
We should look it up.
Cedar Park? Okay, we'll look it up. Anyway, he's made the All-Star team, first year, Central Division All-Star team. It's in San Jose, Sunday and Monday. His parents are
All-Star
going
game.
down there
That's
to
right.
watch in the All-Star Classic. They do like a 3-on-3 tournament with their divisions and skills competition and stuff. Number 2 points leader in the league is his teammate.
That's right.
Maverick Bork. No relation to
Raymond.
Ray. No relation to Ray.
Maybe Renee Bork's relative.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does it though. So this every single level he goes to, he excels. He's 5'8", 170 pounds, dynamo, wonderkind. He's doing it again. You'd think he's going to get called up soon to the National Hockey League, but he's not yet because most of all, the Dallas Stars, the big club, everyone's healthy and they're playing well.
They're good. They're very good. So if they weren't as good, he'd probably be called up. But they don't. You don't mess with what's happening, right? They're one of the best teams in the league. Yeah.
Yep. So I caught up with him 2 days ago, and we can watch a bit of that clip right now. Ever since I've known you, you've been driven by doubters. I don't know if it's been anything new this year. Has there been anything that's kind of stuck in your craw that kind of has pushed you to, do what you've been doing?
No, not really. Yeah, obviously I'm trying to prove myself being a smaller guy. So, I think that's just a constant thing for me as I go along in my career. But, I think I'm just trying to give myself the best opportunity to live out my dream and to play in the NHL someday. So, it'd be nice to be in the NHL right now, but at the same time, it's not a rush, and I want to be fully prepared when I do get the call, and hopefully just keep on working at my game down here. What about the draft? I mean, every team in the league passed on you. Is there any part of you that likes to, does that drive you at all? Like, hey, have a look, guys. Maybe you made a mistake. I think that sticks in the back of my mind, obviously. That was a few years ago now, but I think just proving to teams that, hey, I could have maybe been a first rounder. Obviously, that was my goal, going into the draft, and it didn't happen. So I was pretty disappointed about that. But I think it's just about proving to everybody that, hey, I'm a smaller guy, but I can play the game and not back down. All I have to do is Google your name to see people calling for that call up. Like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Is it frustrating to you to not get that call, or what's it like to be where you are, leading the league in points, and to not have gotten that call yet? I think it just drives me more to try and be the best player I can be. And like I said before, you can only do as much as you can, and the rest is kind of out of your control. So obviously Dallas has had a really healthy lineup this year, and they're winning lots of games. So why change, anything up there if things are working for them, and they're having a great season. So I think it's just about taking it day by day, and just kind of staying grounded, because the days go by quick, so you want to get the most out of each day at the rink and in the gym. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think the man games lost to injury, like the Dallas Stars have been extremely healthy, and you obviously never want to you never want to root for anyone to get hurt, but that's partially probably why you haven't got a call up. So what's that that contrast like about wanting to get to the league but not wanting guys to get hurt? Yeah, I think it just goes back to like what you said. Obviously, if an injury does happen, you want to be that next guy to get called up. But they're having a really successful season, and that's what you want as an organization, is to do really well, and your end goal is to play for a Stanley Cup final. So, it'd be great for me to be a part of it, but at the same time, I'm still young, and it's not really a rush right now at this moment. I'm still 20, so lots of hockey left still.
Any thoughts?
Well, what it gets me, when was he drafted? He was drafted in the second round, early in the second round. What year was that? 2022. Who did the Canucks take in that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. It was
in the first round.
It was the Russian guy. Oh my goodness. It was a forward though, right? Yeah. Oh, this is going to bother me.
I was just thinking, wouldn't it be cool if they would have taken a flyer on him and said, we're going to draft.
Well, even at the time,
home
you can
team.
look back, and I tweeted on that day that they're going to regret that pick.
Yeah.
Why would you pass up on the opportunity?
The hometown kid.
Even if it doesn't work out,
Yep.
you've got a BC boy in your own backyard, and you pass on him.
It's like the Grizzlies in the 90s. They passed up on Stevie Nash, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, for Brian Reeves.
Yeah, big country.
It spelled the end of their. If they would have drafted Nash, that could have changed the trajectory of the whole franchise.
Would have been totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Stevie Nash was great. 2-time MVP from Canada. But go back to Stankoven, and what gets me is people who say, "Oh, he's not big enough to play in the big leagues." Everywhere he's gone, he's proven that he's big enough to play. And if you think about it,
I'm listening to you. No, I'm listening to you. I'm looking at the draft.
Theron Fleury,
Yeah.
Stevie Sullivan, Martin St. Louis, all those players are of the same, if not smaller, stature than Logan Stankoven. Why are people so fixated on the size, especially with the way the game is played now, as opposed to back in the 70s when you had to be big because it was a bruising game.
Well, I think because there's so many examples. It's probably the 2021 draft. There's so many examples of small players who don't work out. You do have to be exceptional.
Well, and he might be the exception to that rule.
Yeah.
And he has proven it every level so far, hasn't he?
He has.
Yes.
I'm just trying to find. I'm pissed off. I can't remember who they passed on.
I can't remember either, but I know that it was a first-round pick, and I don't think the player.
Yeah, Klimovich.
Yeah, right.
Klimovich. He is Russian, right?
Sounds Russian.
Yes. Yeah.
Mike. I'm just clicking on him.
Yeah.
Sorry, no. I'll just edit all this out. Danilo Klimovich. No, he's from Belarus. He's Belarusian.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Where is he now?
Klimovich?
Yeah.
Probably still in the AHL.
Is it down in Abbey, or is he back in Europe still? I don't even know.
Should I look that up too?
We should know.
I was watching the football game. On the
we
weekend.
actually?
Which one?
I don't know. We were packing down the booth, and all the PV guys were like, we had our big LED.
What time
video
was it?
walls.
What time was it?
It was on Sunday
Night or
afternoon. No, it was Sunday, like 6 o'clock.
Okay, so you're watching the late game. You're watching
Yeah,
the
the
San
one that
Francisco.
had like 37 in one of the
San
scores.
Francisco and Detroit. A good
yeah,
game.
Yeah, and they said, "Can you get it on the big screen?" And I was like, "Yes."
he's-
So I watched it while we were
Good.
packing down our booth. Well,
Did your favorite team win?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was equally pleased as the winners and losers of that that game.
The sports ball.
Klimovich still. He's in Abbotsford.
He's an Abbey, eh?
Yeah,
Okay.
4 points in 15 games.
Great.
So
What position is he?
he's a forward, isn't he?
Is he right wing or?
I don't know.
Okay. So they could have had the lead and score, but instead they went for the Belarusian. So there you
Okay,
go.
speaking of rookies, which we were, Connor Zary.
Yeah. What a story that
Not
is.
AHL, and you must know this, Mike.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
must know Connor Zary.
I'm pretty sure I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
That ridiculous display.
He's been ridiculously good, this
Yeah.
display he's put on this season in the National Hockey League as a rookie.
NHL. Yeah.
That's the yes. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
Calgary Flames.
His first NHL goal, by the way, was on his very first shift against the Dallas Stars.
Oh wow, there you go. Yeah. See, there you are. Yeah. And he's now got a new dynamic teammate,
Kuzmenko.
who got
Oh, you're
traded
talking
there
about
yesterday.
last night's trade?
Big trade. You
Big
do know
news,
about the big trade.
news.
Lindholm. Connor Zary, though, former Kamloops Blazer, 2018-19 is when he really announced himself. I remember that run, the games against PG at the end of the season, willed them into the playoffs along with Garand and Lowen and the rest of them, and then that big play-in game. Were you at the play-in game versus Kelowna that night?
Yes, I was in the playing. They trounced them, didn't they?
Yeah, like
6-0 or something?
They harpooned the Ogopogo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We talked about that and many other things. Here's a little clip right now with Connor Zary. Are you still in the pinching yourself stage at all? I mean, is there any moments where you're just like, man, I'm living my dream here, finally, like I'm in the NHL, or can you not even think about that right now?
For me, it's kind of just been maybe a bit like that for the first couple of weeks, but now it's just kind of become hockey. I think once you get to that point where you realize you can play and you can be here, and I think just makes you kind of want more, and it kind of makes you hungry. I think then you know what, maybe it's the first time you have a bad game or something like that. It makes you want more and know you can do more and know you can and put more out there. So I think for me, it's just kind of become sort of my life and wanting to kind of improve every day and not be satisfied with just being here. It's trying to be here to be the best player I can be.
What's it like to match up against Connor McDavid?
Yeah, he's obviously an all-world talent and a special player. You see what he does out there day in, day out, and it's something you can't really match up for. You just got to try and contain and do whatever you can to make sure we stay to our structure and every line's going and we do our best to keep him out of the game. And I think that goes for all those guys. You got the McKinnons, the Kucherovs, and all those guys who are top elite players that you can't really let into the game or let them have a sniff. You last night you give Matthews a couple inches and he has 3 goals. So it's one of those things where you just got to try and contain. And for us, I think the more we can play in the offensive zone and pressure them to defend us is what stops those guys from doing what they want to do. So I think that's what we can do.
Harken back first 2018-19. That for me is when you really announced yourself 17-year-old season. The end of that season, those games against PG, yourself and Jermaine and Garand, and that was kind of like the rekindling of the love affair with the Blazers and this city too, and that play-in game. What do you remember about that time of your career?
Yeah, I think our first year we were pretty up and down, and we weren't totally consistent. And I remember that we missed the playoffs and everything like that. And I think it was kind of time to turn that around. And I think we started to figure that out in the next year and moving forward. And obviously at the end of that second year, being able to play in those meaningful games, and then that play-in game was pretty crazy. That's something that doesn't happen very often, where two teams are playing in a winner takes all one game to make it into the playoffs, and it being Kamloops versus Kelowna is another cherry on top. So I remember that game being pretty cool and pretty special, and something that y'all remember forever just because it never really happens. But yeah, I think that then moving forward from that year, I think those last 2 years, my 18 and 19-year-old year, we obviously had exceptional teams with exceptional talent and high-end goaltending and coaching and whatnot, and we were probably ready to make some damage in the postseason, if not be a team competing to win it all in both those years. So obviously it was pretty tough the way that my junior career kind of went and ended like that with COVID and everything, and that sucks. I never really got to play that out, especially with the teams we had in those last 2 years. But it's something that I'll cherish forever, is being able to be part of the city of Kamloops and part of the Blazers.
Did you watch that clip that I sent you? Zary.
I saw it online. I saw it on social media. Yeah.
Okay, but you didn't again see the emails I sent you last night or this morning to look at it again?
No, I didn't. No, I saw you sent something out.
I sent 2 things. I sent the Stankoven clip and I sent the Zary clip, but didn't watch.
Well, I just
mailed it in.
I had the dog to walk this morning.
Okay, any thoughts?
Oh, just fantastic. I mean, it's good to see that, and it's out of nowhere, because no one would have predicted that he would be, one of the best rookies in the league this year.
He was a first-round draft pick, but yeah. To do what he's doing is pretty. He's got 10 goals, 23 points in 39 games.
And where was he playing in the AHL before he came up? Where was he?
He was Stockton, and then
that's right.
At first, but then it was the Calgary Wranglers, I think.
Yeah, the Wranglers are. That's their new AHL team. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's actually the old name of the old WHL team, Calgary Wranglers. Before the Hitmen, they were called the Calgary Wranglers. Doug Sauter coached them.
Was it Brett the Hitman Hart who owned the Hitmen?
Yeah. He was co-owner. Yeah.
But he's not anymore, right?
I don't think so. The Flames own it now, but he was the co-owner when he started. That's why the name.
The Harts are in today's show.
The Harts, yeah, the Hart Foundation.
Do you remember the Hart Foundation? Were you a wrestling guy?
I was just thinking about Andre the Giant.
Yes.
And how much I liked him in The Princess Bride.
Yes.
Yeah, he was great in The Princess Bride. Yeah.
The anniversary of his passing was a few days ago.
That's right. And they did a show from his. They showed his estate. The only place he truly was happy was in North Carolina. He had a big ranch in North Carolina. And that's the only place he could be himself. That little town near Asheville.
He could drink an insane amount of beers.
three cases, and he'd still be walking.
Yeah. That's kind of like you. Okay. And red wine. All right, let's wrap the show. Do we have another slide or no? Let's have Mike's face. It's better.
Okay,
Like,
hold on,
it's just a logo anyway.
Okay,
Who
I got
cares?
it. No,
No, Mike, stay with us.
It's fine. Here, is that better?
Oh, look at that.
Okay, now we're ready to wrap the show.
Okay, now we can wrap this show.
Nice.
Mike, any thoughts on the show today?
Yeah. I really like the show. I thought that Mike and Katie had some really, the counselors had some really good answers for us, and I'm excited about the future of what they're going to come up with. So, but it should involve some sort of inexpensive space for doing events.
Yeah, good idea for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You, any final thoughts?
No, I'd like to have the Build Kamloops. I want to hear more about the Build Kamloops thing because this is a big deal, and the people who are opposed to it right off the bat or in favor of it should just cool their jets. Look at the details. Listen to what they're saying, especially with the debt servicing and how much it's going to cost them. It's not going to be a hell of a lot over 20 years, and you get so much for it. I'm in favor of it, obviously, but people should just, they're online and they're all yelling yes and no, and wait until you get the details. And as I understand it from talking to Mike and Katie, next week you're going to really start getting a lot of as we go forward. So I'll just be watching it like a resident. I'll be watching and
as you will be a resident, and you are.
Yeah, but not in the media. So I can take a dispassionate view and just look at it from a.
you are one of these people that's
you
online.
Say what's on your mind
yes
on
or
Twitter.
No, you're telling everyone else to calm down.
Yeah, just calm down. No, I was correcting some people online. Okay. The one lady, she's like, we voted this down so many times. No, actually once. I'm just correcting people. Say, if you're going to argue, use facts. That's all. Facts matter.
I'm sure we can find some of your facts that are just your actual opinion.
No, the facts on this thing. I corrected a lady who said that we've already voted this down so many times. No, actually it's one. Oh, we spent $100 million. No, we haven't spent $100 million. And facts matter. Oddly enough, in this age of no one seems to care about facts on the social media sphere, which is why we should have a newspaper in this town because people gravitate toward it. It's facts, and it's dying out big time. New York Times, the Washington Post had a story yesterday. The extinction of the news. It's true. We're in the middle of it right now because people don't care about facts. They're living their silos. All they want to hear is confirmation of their own biases. And if it's not factual, they don't care because this is what they believe. 2 + 2 = 5. That's the reality of it.
Isn't it interesting that facts and fax machines are like the same word?
Facsimile?
They're going the same spot.
Yeah, they're
the way of the dodo.
Yeah, they're way of the dodo. That's right. So basically, I'm looking forward to next Tuesday. What February? What is that? 6th.
Yeah,
council meeting.
Yeah, I don't know.
And to watch it or to follow up, and if you find some news on it about what happened, because the Build Kamloops thing is a big deal, and we should pay attention.
All right.
And it's not a bad idea to invest in something. In our business, we invest in something that, like, we just bought a huge LED video wall so we could do bigger events. It's like 10 feet by 50 feet wide. It's the biggest.
Yeah, the ROI, the return on investment, is going to come, right?
We don't know what it's going to be right now, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get some really cool gigs out of it. And we'll be able to do things.
Yeah.
So you do that based on your thoughts that it's going to be great.
Well, it's an old saying, and this is the truth about the PAC. It should have been built in 2015. We would have had a lot of shows in there. We'd have paid the debt down like significantly by now, or some. There's an old saying. It says the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now. So the PAC, we should have been built 8 years ago. The next best time is now, in my opinion.
Probably a big announcement on the show next week. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, some big cool. Well, it's big news.
Big news.
Big news.
Next week.
Yeah.
You're going to want to tune in. As for today, sponsors, Volkswagen, Gord's, McDonald's, Kamloops Blazers. No longer Macker Ranch. They had a hell of a run, though. 10-episode monster contract in the books.
I still got your stuff in the freezer.
Yeah, I hope to get that someday.
Yep.
And our subscribers, growing. 550 now.
Wow.
Facebook likes going through the roof. Followers, Instagram page growing. So thank you to all the Last Week Clique out there, all our loyal subscribers. Welcome back, Mike. Oh, congrats to your dad as well. Did you mention your dad off the top getting honored?
No. Okay, so I'll do it really briefly right now. We got an email from our association we belong to, NAM, National Association of Music Merchants, and they said, congratulations on 50 years.
Yeah.
Would you like to come down and be part of this ceremony? So Dad doesn't love that kind of stuff. I do. But they honored him for 50 years because we started our business, Lee's Music, originally, well, at the house, but our first actual location was on 754 Dominion Street on a little garage that's still standing. That's where we started our repair business and audiovisual company. Well, back then it was just audio. And we've grown from there 50 years. And that's...
Cool.
And it was really nice. They did a really nice ceremony and marched us all out as a group onto a huge stage with a full room of people,
Nice.
and they all clapped for my dad. And,
Awesome.
And my dad was wearing a River Song jacket.
Oh, perfect.
And he said, "What's this, Mike?" And he pointed to something at the back of the stage. So we both turned around, and we both had our River Song jackets.
Right on.
And that's a picture. It's on Facebook with him turning around,
I'll put it
giggling
up on the screen right
yeah,
now.
giggling about that. So yeah,
That
what an
reminds
awesome
me
thing.
of this guy. I was there when he got his silver quill at the Murray Newspaper Awards for 25 years.
Yeah, for 25 years.
Silver
that's right.
quill.
It's a commitment, 25 years, 50 years. That's a long time, especially in today's age, to be in one industry, one place, kind of
And
thing.
then a few years later, the business took that silver quill and stabbed him in the heart.
Oh, that's right.
Okay,
Yes,
let's
that's
end
right.
it there. For Christopher Folds, for Magic Mike, for Bill Amardo. See you last week.